Yeah.
So I welcome all the delegates and all the visitors to the Steel and Metal Expo and visitors of 11th Asian Metallurgy for this first panel discussion of vital importance to the industry, digitalization, new driver of metallurgical industry. Before we move on to the subject, I would like to slightly take you to the through the journey of Asian Metallurgy Show. It started in 1997. Earlier, it was being conducted at Nehru Center, Mumbai. Then that space, of course, with space constraints, we moved on to Goregaon NSE ground. You know that very well. Everybody knows. Then we conducted there. But since COVID, all the events or the physical events in a way, ground events, were converted into digital events. So did we, and all our conferences and exhibitions were converted into digital on the digital platforms. So in a way, digitalization journey begins at home for us. So we are now a digital company giving digital products like magazines, digital products like conferences and exhibitions. So before we start doing the advocating for digitalization, we first converted ourselves in a way in a digital company or digital product solution company, digital media company rather, and then we started this journey. So this is what I think what COVID has taught us is one of the very biggest thing is digitalization. As you know, the digitalization in a way can be looked upon by in many ways. One of them is it breaks the barriers of being localization. It breaks the barriers of time zone. It can, and you can really be a global event. So this event is also now being viewed. I can tell you proudly that this event is being viewed from all corners of the world. And this is truly has become a global event after we have successfully transformed ourselves into a global company. So that was the background of Asian Metallurgy and Steel and Metal Expo. Asian Metallurgy has two parts. One is the exhibition, where you have around 40-50 stands, virtual stands for viewing. And the other part is we have panel discussions on many subjects vital to the industry. And today we are at the first panel discussion, which is of vital importance, as I said, to the industry, digitalization, new driver of metallurgical industry. And for this discussion, we have three very eminent people who are working actively in the area of digitalization, Industry 4.0 or smart manufacturing as it is called. Mr. Atanu Dey from SMS India, he is there and he is in charge of digitalization in SMS India. So thank you very much, Mr. Atanu, to have with us. And we would really like to share your experience and your vision about the digitalization process in the country, especially to in the metallurgical industry. We have Mr. Yatin Purandare from Vega Group, and Vega has been very active in implementing digitalization and Industry 4.0 solutions to rolling mills, to I think melt shops, and also to foundries, as I know. So welcome, Mr. Yatin Purandare, and I'm sure that your case studies will definitely help us to get a view of how far we are successful. We as ambassadors of digitalization are successful in penetrating the industry. And so thank you very much for joining us. We have Dr. Narra Rajesh from Ulti-Met Technology Private Limited. They are also into providing solutions to the steel and metals industry, and they are, I think, into different areas also, like drone inspection and other areas also. That, of course, Mr. Dr. Nara will apprise us of. So, thank you very much, Dr. Rajesh, for being with us. So, we would actually start the discussion with a very small presentation from SMS. Mr. Atanu Dey. Mr. Dey, we can start with your your slideshow, so that will bring all of us on the same plane as far as digitalization is concerned, and then we can move on to our active debate or discussion rather. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We can start.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Good afternoon. And as it was already mentioned by Mr. Chandekar, my name is Atanu Dey. I look after the electrics and automation as well as digitalization in SMS India. And actually, within SMS Group, we also have a separate entity which is called SMS Digital, which we call as a 100% owned company, and this is sometimes known as our digital subsidiary.
Yeah.
So this is a company which we formed in 2016. It's got more than 300 employees now, spread all across the world. Started in Germany, then in India, China, USA, Brazil, Italy, everywhere we have this SMS Digital Group also. But what I would like to talk about is when we say that Industry 4.0 or digitalization, what exactly do we mean by these words? So before we go there, let's have a look at quickly how the Indian steel plant automation today looks like. When I say today, perhaps it has improved in the last 3-4 years, but by and large, this is how it looks like. If you look here, so you have the different plants. So you have raw material handling, steel making, casting, hot rolling, downstream processes. All these plants have some level 1 automation. They have some level 2 automation also. Some of them don't have level 2 automation. They have some manual entry. Then they have some sort of a production planning system. In most of these old plants, this is known as a PPC system. And then you, of course, have some sort of an ERP, SAP, or whatever you have, which is used for feeding in the customer orders. So the features of this system would be that it's static, it is rigid. The level 2 automation is already there. Level 1, I mentioned already there. Measurements are there, but only whatever is required for process control. Usually, they don't have any condition monitoring system. Usually, they have tracking, which is largely manual. You don't have data from one source. There is multiple places where data is stored. No quality tracking system. This is usually the status. All these things. Now, in this context, why do we need digitalization, or what is the reason why Industry 4.0 became popular? It became popular because of multiple reasons. First is there are some process challenges now, today compared to what it was 10 years back. Everybody wants to have the plant utilized in a way that it is always working in its full capacity. So usually now you will hear these acronyms as OTIF, on time in full. This has become quite popular. You have to have profitability, of course. Operating costs have to be reduced, of course. Employee safety has become an important aspect. So these are some process challenges which has happened. There are some challenges which has come from efficiency and sustainability, like you want to reduce carbon footprints, you want to utilize green energy, you want to have energy certification. These are not till now so important in India, but it would also come in the days to come. Already it's important in other developed economies. Then you have market challenges, which is our customers are demanding smaller lot sizes. They want quality certification. There is a global overcapacity at the moment. So because of which also there is a price fluctuation which is happening. So all these things are happening in the external world of our customers. And along with this, you also have a bunch of technologies which are available now. Technologies like artificial intelligence, data-driven decision-making, 5G, augmented reality, virtual reality, 3D visualization, cloud computing. These technologies were not available earlier. Now they are available. In this context, when you have new challenges and you have new technologies, the demand came of something called a smart factory, or also known as Industry 4.0. What does Industry 4.0 exactly mean? Now, many times people say that your automation system should be Industry 4.0 compliant, or some customers or some consultants typically sometimes also write that the plant must be Industry 4.0 compliant. This actually doesn't make much of a sense because this is not a standard. This is not a regulatory thing. It's more like a concept. So what it could mean or would mean is, if you look at plant unit, that means individual plant units, steel making, casting or hot rolling. And if you look at the sensor level, you can have some smart sensors, you can have smart components, you can have sensors for condition monitoring system, and then you can have some small systems which is doing condition monitoring of certain equipment. A typical example is many of the motor manufacturers are now coming up with a small condition monitoring system which can connect and collect some data from their motors and tell you whether the motors are getting overheated or not, whether it is drawing more current, less current, and so on. This is one level of digitalization, which is typically at a sensor level or plant unit level. If you go one step above, then you have, again, for individual plant units, you have sequencing of the production itself. What does it mean? That means when you are rolling in a hot rolling mill, you would like to have a particular sequence to be followed. You would like to follow the so-called coffin shape rolling. You would also like to follow from thicker to thinner. You would not like to change grades too much. So a particular sequencing has to be followed. And if you have Industry 4.0, you can have this in a much more flexible way or in a much more, let's say, intelligent way. Then you have quality evaluation and quality grading. You have some operator assistance systems. You have some predictive maintenance. So these are at plant level. Then if you want to look at the whole plant, that means starting from raw material, steel making, casting, hot rolling, downstream, across plant units, you can have overall planning and scheduling, so-called MES 4.0. You can have logistic solutions like tracking, yard management. You can have quality tracking. You can have energy optimization. All these different technologies or different functionalities are some way or the other part of Industry 4.0. So you need not have everything, but any of these things come under the overall umbrella of Industry 4.0 or digitalization. Added to this, you also have certain technologies which you are using for Industry 4.0, technologies like cloud, technologies like big data, and machine learning / artificial intelligence. When you develop solutions using these technologies, this is also coming under the purview of Industry 4. Plus, Industry 4.0 usually, not necessarily, also talks about different business models like software as a service, like performance-based revenue models, like certain consultancy services for digitalization. All these things in general comprise of Industry 4.0. So Industry 4.0 is not one type of solution. It is not one set of solution. It is not one set of technology also. Any of these things would qualify as Industry 4.0, which is why you will find that different companies are operating in different zones. So some companies who are typically product companies, they are working in the plant level sensorization. They also call it Industry 4.0. Some companies like us who are OEMs and who are into digital solutions, we are talking about logistic solutions. We are talking about sequencing, quality grading, quality tracking, which is also Industry 4.0. Some people want solutions on cloud. This is also Industry 4.0 and so on. Another aspect I would like to bring in to the table is that Industry 4.0 also talks about these very famous 4 layers of analytics. In fact, some people call it as a 5-layer analytics, but most popular is 4-layer, which means descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and ultimately prescriptive. Descriptive analytics is more or less nothing but having enough number of sensors which you connect in an intelligent manner so that you have a visualization of what you have over there. So typically a normal condition monitoring system or some dashboards at the plant, these would come under descriptive analysis. Then we have diagnosis analysis where you have this data and from this you find out what is the cause. Then you have predictive analysis where you say, okay, you know what has happened, you know what is the cause. From this you predict that if I am having this kind of data, this gearbox would most likely fail in another 2 months' time. Or this motor is showing some periodic overheating, so which means probably something is wrong with this. Probably there is a problem with its bearing or something like that. And prescriptive analysis is, which is ultimately the main goal, where digitalization ultimately will tell you, this is what I see today, this is what I can predict for tomorrow, and this is what I want you to do today, so that you can extend the life of your equipment, or you can have better quality, you can have more productivity, you can have planned downtime instead of unplanned, and these kind of things. So this is also another context which would be interesting to keep in mind when we are thinking about digitalization or Industry 4.0. So just to wrap it up, SMS Digital actually is working on all these fields. So what we have is we have some smart sensors. We have our automation system, which is so-called digital ready. That means you can pick up this data easily, which you put into the data factory where you have all data as a central repository. Then you have 4 solutions related to production planning, asset optimization, quality and energy management, which are all coupled by a digital twin, where you create in digital world a twin of the actual plant. All of them can be loaded with artificial intelligence or ML. And from this, you ultimately generate some action items. In case of quality, it will give you some action items related to some closed loop actions. In case of production planning and asset, it will give you some guidance and some recommendations about how you should maintain the plant. So based on this, we have many solutions like this. We have many references like this, but this is one way in which we are approaching digitalization. As I explained, this is not the only way. There are other ways of doing it also, all come under the purview of digitalization. So with this, I would stop here, and let's have now some discussions, and let other perspectives come in, and then we can talk about where we are and where we are going.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Dey, and it was really very interesting perspective. Of course, as you said, there are many other perspectives also which are possible in case of digitalization. Digitalization is multifaceted animal, so multi-legged or multi-pronged animal. So it has many faces. So then I would like to go to Mr. Purandare. Yatin, you can tell us about your perspective and maybe a case study. And primarily, I would like to ask you one question, which also you can address. How far we, as I said, as an ambassador, how far we are able to penetrate the industry, how far we are able to convince and deliver what we have promised as a digitalization ambassador, not as a company. I'm saying as a digitalization ambassador, how far we are able to convince.
Thank you, Dinesh. First of all,
I will just before you start, just I will see how our people only can damage our cause. Like I will tell you, see, when the COVID started, a lot of people came out with digital exhibitions, and what they did is they did only virtual booths. They constructed only virtual booths and did not do the proper promotion at national and international level to get the full advantage of digitalization. So when we started our marketing, or we started approaching people saying that we are doing digital exhibition and we will have virtual booths, people said, "Nahi yaar, usme kuch hota nahi hai, nobody comes." So the doing it in a wrong way also damages the perception or damages the prospects. So on this note, you can start.
Yes, thanks, Dinesh. My first of all, congratulations to Mr. Dey. Very nicely presented concept on fundamental Industry 4.0 and digitalization. Taking a step forward based on that and answering your question, Dinesh, about how far we are convinced that we can prove to our customers or the whole industry as such how this is going to help. So primarily what has happened, everybody knows that and understands there is a digitalization which is going to be required tomorrow and in future, because as rightly mentioned by Mr. Dey, there are challenges which are increasing over competitiveness, efficiency of the plant utilization factor, and having the consolidated data together for decision making. So when we say data-based decision making, it means I need a commercial data, I need a supply chain data, I need a process data, I need a metallurgical data, I need a probably automation data. Now, how do we get it on the same platform is a first challenge. And especially Vega works in MSME industry, and we face it where the investors are very, very positive or bullish on the technology. But unfortunately, it's very difficult to gain such results in terms of capex ROI, and which needs a larger period of gestation to get actual rupee results or dollar results. So first thing here is how this data can come to the same platform, whereby as a finance director, if I want a data, I can extract through the same kind of a data pool. As a maintenance manager, I can pull out the same data and I can relate the pricing for spares and maintenance cost, etc., to take a rational decision. So the data platform, usually called as IoT platform, where you have your all level 1, level 2 systems get connected, and the ones which are already not automated at the stage of level 1 can be automated through sensors and IIoT devices. So I would rather like to put it this way, that the digitalization is a must process, knowing at the volumes at which our customers are heading, knowing at the volumes what India as a country is visualizing by 2030. So every bit what you save in the whole production process is going to add back as an ROI. But this is not a sort of a sort of a solution you deploy and you get results, because since this is an integrated platform, unless you integrate everything, the results or the solutions may be domain specific, especially in terms of maintenance or some process modeling. They cannot be applied in holistic manner. Our current level 2, level 3 systems operate within the constraints of individual process, whereby 4.0 allows you to expand further of upstream, downstream processes data to further optimize the process so that you can get more efficient production. With this, Nanesh, I think I have answered your question. Or do you require anything else from me?
Just one more question. You said both there are two approaches. One is holistic approach and one is piece by piece approach. Which approach would you advocate, or it is case by case? It depends, case to case. It may be different.
So this is something like a master plan for digitalization. The people like us, the ambassadors of digitalization, should help our customers to put the master plan in the picture, and then go into modular version within individual processes, different processes together, so that over a period of time, with smaller investments at a time, you can start building the whole structure together.
Yeah. Okay, thanks, Yatin. Dr. Rajesh, I would like to bring you in the discussion right now.
Yes, sir.
You can share your perspective about digitalization. I like the term. There are different perspectives by Mr. Dey. It is very true, sir. And there are different perspectives because digitalization is a different animal. I mean, so Rajesh, Mr. Dr. Rajesh, you can share your perspective about digitalization. How you look at it. And I would like to ask you one specific question as same question which I asked Mr. Yatin. That do you advocate piece by piece approach, or would you advocate a holistic approach? Because holistic approach maybe take a longer time, whereas piece by piece approach you can do small things and give customers some results. So there are advantages and disadvantages of both these approaches. So first your perspective and then your comment on these approaches. Dr. Rajesh.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thanks, sir. Thanks for inviting me for this one. Am I audible?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for the other panel members also present over here, sir. So digitalization, as a steel plant employee, what I had seen over the past 20 years, how the steel industry has evolved from in India itself, if you talk about like that. So the paper-based system. So from the paper-based system to say the next level of automation, it is coming on to the say control room level. And from control room to this, COVID has given an opportunity to take your data, plant data into your mobile, and we are well habituated to that. So if you talk about the implementation, how it has been implemented, the digitalization has been implemented, or where we can implement, we can talk about at the process level. One thing is at the process level. The second thing is at the organizational level. Third is about your business level, and the fourth is about the societal level. So if you talk about the developments are happening across not only the metallurgical industry, several domains are developing very fast. So we want to take advantage of that scenario, and we want to take advantage of the metallurgical domain. So all these technologies, if you talk about, say, from the engineering perspective, metallurgist's role is to produce metal. How effectively, how intelligently he is going to do that job is the question of the hour. So from that angle, what industry had seen in the last, say, we are advocating, by the way, what Ulti-Met, we are advocating Industry 4.0. It's the same year in the 2016, 2017, we started our journey over here in India. First of all, the question came from the industry. 10 years back, when I was there with the Steel Authority of India Limited, Bhilai Steel Plant, we conceptualized, there is no cloud concept at that point of time. We want to integrate all the 7 blast furnaces and to have a central server over there. And from there, we want to see the data. So the question mark came in, what would be the return on investment on that particular, by implementing this thing, which is very, very difficult to quantify. There are 2 benefits which we need to see from the Industry 4.0 perspective. Qualitative benefits and quantitative benefits. What we are seeing over here, the necessity is the mother of invention. Once the COVID came in, people are unable to go into the workplace. They want to entire work to the desktop at home, sitting at home. That created a venue to increase the digitalization aspect in a rapid manner. Incidentally, what we had seen, see today, this year, what we had seen, several industries, several engineering colleges have started in computer science engineering itself. There are 5 different branches, starting with your data analytics, cyber security, all 3D, the AR, VR, all related different branches. What we are seeing over here in the Industry 4.4, all are becoming an individual branches, and I feel for a period of time, next 20 years, 10 to 20 years time, it will take to reach to a level where everything is digital. Till that point, yes, how you are going to advocate that as a PSPL approach or a holistic approach, if you talk about, yes, we need to start like, say, data mining and the data-driven analysis from the, say, process perspective. We can start an individual project at that level. We can introduce robotics into the shop floor automation. We can add AR, VR for this particular, say, exhibition sort of thing. See, so people can feel and touch that product virtually. We can make 3D technologies to be made available. So the whatever called the spare parts and other things can be brought in instantly with the just-in-time inventory sort of thing. We can use drone technologies to inspect. So all these technologies can be brought into, say, individually, project by project manner, and there should be some common unified platform to link the everything of it. This is the way which every industry needs to see. Every individual plant needs to see. In a modular approach, everything is getting added, and then that is integrated into the whole system.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh, for your initial perspective. And we see what happens. You have said it good, rightly, that whenever I talk to any customer, the first question customer asks me is, the ROI kya hai? When will I get my investment back? And when will I start making profits? So I know this is a very difficult question, and but we have to answer it. Unless and until we answer this question, the things cannot go ahead. So how would you try to, how would you answer this, Mr. Dey? I mean, this is the common perception and this is the common question. What is the ROI? Because I see a lot of digitalization or Industry 4.0 benefits are not really tangible. They have to be understood, like efficiency, like, ease of operation. So all these are to be understood, not tangible. But what is the ROI? What would you answer, Mr. Dey?
You are absolutely right. Digitalization is, as I mentioned, in many ways a conceptual thing. And sometimes it is difficult to pinpoint an ROI out of it.
Yeah.
However, certain ROIs are possible. So in digitalization world, most of the companies who are operating in this space, they are talking about something called a use case. That means they are telling the customer that you tell me what is a specific problem and whether I can solve this using artificial intelligence or machine learning or some kind of a small digital tool. And in some cases, or in most of these cases, these companies are coming up with a performance-based contracts. And I think that this will be really the future, because if you are operating in a developed economy, there you already understand that if I have data and if I extract something out of it, over a period of time, your overall efficiency will improve. But in our kind of economy, not only India, but also in Southeast Asia, which is a developing economy, here people would count things in terms of dollars. So there, if you come up with a solution saying that, okay, you have a problem, I will give you this tool, you just pay me a nominal fees, and let's agree that if I am able to improve the performance, if I am able to reduce your quality downgrades, if I am able to reduce your downtime, breakdown, and so on, you will make this much amount of money and we will share this 50-50 or whatever. This kind of a performance-based contract is actually the only thing by which you can really convince a normal customer who is not so educated, not so big, not so techno-savvy, that, okay, fine, this fellow is willing to put the money on the table, let's go with it.
But sir, are we able to give that performance guarantee on paper?
It's not a guarantee, it's basically on performance-based contracts. For example, we are now executing one project with one of the customers, a big customer in India, where he is paying just a small fees for the first year. We have already decided that he has got, let's say, a particular defect, and this defect happens. We have seen his past 1 year statistics, more or less 14 times a year. And my commitment to him is that I would bring it down to 7 times. But doesn't matter whether I am able to bring it down to 7 or 8 or 10. Whatever is the saving, let us say I bring it down to 10. The number of savings is 4. Each of such event is costing him, let us say, 4 lakh of rupees. So 4 events means 4 into 4 lakh is 16 lakhs. And he will pay me 8 lakhs. He will keep 8 lakhs with him. And if I fail, then he doesn't pay anything.
That is only for 1 year, 8 lakhs to you, or
this kind of contracts normally, I always propose that this is done for 3 years, because in the first year, actually, ultimately, digitalization means you are working with data science. First year, you will only collect data and analyze. Second and third year, you will start getting benefits. After third year, mostly the benefits will come down, because by that time, the customer will also get educated and he would have improved his operations to a certain extent. So this is a model by which you can push small solutions, and many small customers would also be willing to go for this, because he is not paying out of his pocket, he is paying out of the savings.
I know.
This could be something
very interesting, very interesting business model. I think and then it is realistic also. Then your customer shares the benefit with you, and after he gets benefit, it is shared. So he's sort of relieved or not much burdened financially. But many customers, when we have when people like you approach customers, many times it happens that customers find it a bit out of pocket or whatever, and they would like to take finance from some bank or some their financer or something like that, but then they would require actually ROI on paper. I mean, more stringent guarantees or more stringent promises from you. Yatin, what is your experience? How would you deal with such a situation? Or how are your generally what arrangements you have with your customers?
So, Ganesh, let me first answer your question again on ROI. The customers understand that to improve the efficiency, they require data, right? So the ROI is mainly in terms of avoiding errors and getting a consistency of operation.
Yeah.
So one way or the other, if you start with a small modular structure and one of the module starts giving a better performance, over and above what today's performance is, the customers start getting convinced. Mr. Dey's module is very nice, where customers are ready to, share the profits. What Vega has adopted is we have partnered with one of our customer who has a very high vision of growth as well as digitalization. So there we have a customer supplier partnership. So Vega invests onto the technology and customer invests from his side on the other kind of, hardware or some mechanical erection problems, etc., etc. And we come out with a solution and the results, which Vega takes it to the other customer. So there are 2 or 3 different models where you have a proven solution with proven results at one of or couple of customers, which you can take it to the others because that becomes a benchmark. But the first R&D always requires a customer who understands the benefits of this. So convincing your customer that how it is going to be beneficial for you today, maybe only 10%, but how it will eventually contribute 90% to the growth as well as reduction of errors. Putting up the systems, especially in MSME, the systems are not so rigid, or rather they are not formulated to the extent required. So digitalization automatically starts putting up the systems. Since Vega's experience is mainly with MSME, I'm just focusing on MSME issues and how their approach is. And end of the day, once one kind of, let's say, digitalization process is completed, the migration starts from the company itself, because once they understand this data has given me this result, now since we have a data, can we get additional or another result or another result or another result? So I've seen my customers driving us for the solutions eventually. A typical example, like energy is one of the raw material in industry. EMS systems, what are available, they are just monitoring the total energy consumption. So with this data collection, what we integrated was production versus energy consumption to give our customers a data of productive and non-productive energy. You cannot much save on productive energy unless you invest into some kind of additional process technologies. But non-productive energies are generally a kind of inefficiency, So attacking inefficiencies, you can very well take them as a low-hanging fruit and start saving. And 1 unit per kg or per ton saved is adding up to your bottom line. So this is the approach Vega is taking while going and pushing digitalization in the market.
Okay, that's also interesting and good. Rajesh, Dr. Rajesh, what do you think should be the approach, and what are what approach are you taking when you approach the customers?
Yes, sir. We are promising the customers based on the productivity, improving the productivity and reducing the cost. That is the major motto. So if, like Atanu sir said, that is the quantification methodology. The only way there are tangible benefits which we can see it over there over a period of time, and there are certain intangible benefits like intangible benefits are so many. The convenience of operating the plant and getting the expert guidance across the globe, if you make the entire process digitalized. So it takes its own due course, but definitely in the long run, the new technologies, implementation of new technologies, and this is going to be the survival. The long sustainable steel industry only happens with the digitalization process.
No, what I'm asking you is, what sort of commercial proposals your customers are likely to accept? Whether they are, as Mr. Dey says, sharing the benefits. That can be one. Second,
I'll tell you. I'll tell
you can promise. So what sort of promises you do with the customers, and what sort of assurances customers needs in order to go ahead?
I'll tell you one thing.
Don't tell your business secrets, but the rest everything you can tell you.
If you go to a customer, if you go with a thing, one thing is a free trial.
Okay.
Give it free.
Achha,
we need to develop give it free.
He's saying give it free.
Give it free. That is what my idea is. I'll explain the reason logic behind it.
Okay.
Like we are all familiar with the Google.
Yeah.
And all of the Google services are free.
Okay.
Where Google is earning money.
The business model itself is different. No, they are earning from the advertisements and other things. You are not earning
exactly.
from. You have to earn from this model only.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. My point is that only.
Yeah.
My point is that only. If you want to penetrate into the market, develop a product, you for the customer's sake, give it free. What you are going to develop based on that, how Google is earning the money over there. So tomorrow, once the process is doing XYZ, and that there is an improvement of 20% is possible by using some other technology or some other raw material improvement. Sell that particular as a product to the client. This is the only way I think we can go fast into the industry. Other than that, when I approach most of the clients, like what our other panel members are saying, it is clear. When we internally propose the same project as not an external agency, suppose an internal improvement project also, if you project to your top management will feel only one thing: what would be the ROI of that project?
That's what I'm asking.
And until unless it is a tangible benefit is not seen to them, which is very, very difficult to convince during the developmental phase. So the implementation is taking time. Otherwise, 2016, when Industry 4.0 is
I remember you first gave presentation in our conference. That was in 2016, right? 2016.
Yes. So from 2016 to 2022, 6 years down the line, where we stand on the digitalization front. By this time, if so many technologies are available, but why they are not penetrated so much?
Point well taken. Point well taken, Dr. Rajesh. Mr. Dey, this is the point. Actually, he made a very good point that 6-7 years down the line, and I don't think we have made enough penetration in the industry. I don't think industry as a whole has accepted the digitalization as a part of their growth journey. Why it is so?
I think industry has accepted digitalization in certain areas. For example, in industrialization or Industry 4.0 in terms of logistics. This is quite well accepted. Many of the companies are investing in tracking their fleets, where what is going. These kind of things they are investing in. This they see a direct benefit. They have also accepted digitalization or digital solutions in terms of payroll management or data accumulation and these kind of things. This is also accepted. Where they are little hesitant in approaching is when it comes to process. When you go and tell them that I am developing a machine learning model out of your data, and this will guide your operators so that you can operate your plant better and you will have less quality defects. This, they find it difficult to accept. This is, I think, more of a mental challenge than a actual data challenge, because they somehow...
Is it because you are saying whatever you are doing up till now is wrong? Is it indirectly you are saying?
Something like that.
Something like that.
You are saying that you are wrong, and you are saying that, you know, your 30 years of experience in operating a machine, your 30 years of know-how, I can replace by some young kid who is just having some tools to look at the data, detect some anomaly, and from that detect a pattern, and using that pattern, you will immediately improve. So
that
this
is very difficult to digest. This is very
exactly
difficult to digest.
exactly.
Yeah. Yatin, what is your experience?
Yeah, actually, Dinesh, people look at it as a James Bond theory, you know, because it's like a James Bond movie. You see sci-fi, which is going to be there after 50 years.
Yeah.
But I would rather not agree with Mr. Dey, because I have few customers. First thing in this whole process is your top management has to be convinced that this is going to be our long-term goal. Okay. So the ROI calculations will automatically fall in place once you have a overall what is I'm looking at? Am I looking at like putting a process or machine and getting the results from tomorrow, or am I looking at the results after 5 years? Two issues again, especially in MSME, where systems are not strong and data collection is a bigger problem, which eventually leads into living with the problems, because you cannot reach to root cause analysis because of lack of data. So our customers who are basically looking at these conditions are, suppose today if my cobble rate is 0.4%, how can I make it 0.2%? Suppose my ladle idle time is 10 minutes right now, how can I make it 1 minute or even 0 minutes? Now, these are the thought process which drive the customers to focus on data driven kind of analytics. Here, there are two parts. One is collecting the data, and like Vega doesn't have a core steel, domain expertise, although we know certain processes. But then that data can be used by the experts within the company or some advisors of them to create a model which can be further implemented for such kind of solutions. So every time the solution won't be coming from the supplier or let's say Industry 4.0 partner, because 4.0 consists of practically all kind of technologies and engineering together. So it has to be a team effort, and for that team effort, the customers have to be with you. You always require a first one who gets convinced on this, who's going to allow you to come together and find out a solution which is going to be the industry solution.
Yeah, maybe Rajesh, what do you think?
I agree with you, sir. I agree on that.
What do you agree? Giving free?
See, that's what it is. See, it should be a top-driven approach. The first point, what Yatin sir has said, it should be a top-driven approach, and the results, the fruits of digitalization is going to come over a longer time rather than instantaneous. Whereas you need to spend ready now. And second thing is, when, as I explained, it is the process level at the individual plant level, then the business level and the societal level. So the peer pressure is also much more important over here. Suppose some XYZ company, your competitor is delivering that product in a digitalized manner. See, when we are moving towards an industry 4.0, which we are talking about mass customization. So when mass customization is possible from an integrated steel plant, giving say 1 ton or 2 ton of steel required for the end user, steel required for his house construction, steel required for his kitchen appliances, steel required for his day-to-day affairs, all these things are mass customized. And there is no loss at all. So to reach to that level, for an individual plant is supposed to invest on the certain technologies, and that technology is digitalization, because it's a culmination of all things. And when such type of peer pressure is coming on the industry, then people will automatically move. Then this rate of return or return on investment is not the thing. That is a survival question is coming up to the industry.
I know. Maybe, see, what I see in all this is there are two approaches. Mr. Day typically like SMS typically deals with very large customers, right? Integrated plants, and they deal with very large customers. So he is facing the problem of, say, I would say middle management. Even if the top management is concurrent and top management is connected with you, there is a middle management which tries to resist the whole change, maybe directly or indirectly. Is that so, Mr. Day? I mean, am I right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what I was going to tell.
There is a
Yatin,
big
that,
management. Yeah. And
that's what I was trying to tell Mr. Yatin, that there are two parts of it. One is that in MSME, if the top boss is convinced, then the top-down approach really works very strongly, because once this instruction goes through, on the shop floor level also it gets implemented. But in a bigger industry, where you are really dealing with big players, the middle management is also equally strong. So even though there is a top-down approach, even though there is a clear approach from the top that we would like to go in this, you always can find ways of delaying this or deferring this or kind of, taking it in a different route.
Mr. Day, that I was thinking is the difference between this dealing with integrated plants and dealing with maybe owner-based plants as SME. Of course, SME is undoubtedly the very important aspect of economy. In fact, SMEs are supposed to be the backbone of any national economy. To that extent, they are important. But since they are owner-based, your approach is different, Mr. Vega, Mr. Purandare. And approach of
and another aspect
SMS has to be different, or maybe please.
Another aspect where it is different is that when when a company is providing you a digitalization solution which is predominantly accumulating the data, giving you better visualization and working together with you, saying that, okay, you use your analytics now, I have provided you the platform and the data, then it is a different story. But when you are coming as an external supplier, saying that, okay, we know we have 20 years, 30 years, 150 years of experience in metal industry, and now we have got some data-driven solutions, which is a completely different approach, and we will, using this data-driven solution, we will detect some anomalies which you have not been detected, though you are in this business for 50 years. This is a completely different challenge altogether, because then you are challenging conventional wisdom. You are challenging almost everything that he believes in. You are challenging a hot rolling mill person who has for 30 years rolled silicon steel, saying that, hey, you may have rolled for 30 years. Robertson's book may have said this, but from data we have captured this correlation. This becomes almost like an existential question, that you are questioning my wisdom. So this also creates a certain barrier.
Correct. That is why I asked the first question, whether the approach should be holistic or piece by piece. So to that extent, what I meant was maybe, talking about pain points and solving the pain points can take us further faster than, the holistic approach and then the giving solution to the whole plant, maybe, and the changing the philosophy of the plant. These things look vague also, and these things look far-fetched also. So taking step by step or maybe pain point wise approach, that may work. What is your experience, Dr. Rajesh?
Yes, sir. It is like, see, these data-driven models are plant specific, or for that matter, equipment specific. So a blast furnace number 1 is not going to behave like blast furnace number 2 or 3 for 4, 5, 6, 7. Even the raw materials are same. So when you are talking on an individual level, because it is like that, the operator parameters are different. The plant people who are running that particular plant is different. So when we are talking about equipment specific parameters, the only problem coming over here is, suppose if you developed a model and had given to the plant people definitely saying that it is not possible because your values are much way beyond that one. Every model is running on certain assumptions, right? So in that sense, what Atanu sir is saying is correct right now. When we had given that one, when that particular material, even though the textbook theory is stating something, but in the practice you are encountering certain issues, and this is the platform what we can give it to you. you can develop, you can fine tune that thing to according to your set of conditions. I'll take the example of 1 second to the Google map over here. Based on your speed and the travel time, everything is decided in the Google Maps exactly to the minute level. So that is possible. So as a technological organizations supporting external agencies, what say SMS or Vega or somebody, whoever it is, we need to develop platforms and give certain set of tools to the industry. Those tools can be played with by the operators themselves, and they can do the models developed on their own. So the infrastructure needs to be created. This logic applies to every set of Industry 4.0. Robotic, which is designed for some other application, may not be suitable fit for that particular application. Drone, which is used for say surveillance in other area, may not be fit for say blast furnace areas or say steel plant other areas. So the people need to fine tune the data. For that sense, the industrial R&D, the departmental R&D, every organization needs to come up with a new set of what is called the parallel administration department, the digitalization department should be the thing, and that is going to be recruited with the new set of engineers that are going to come into the picture. It is not like only chemical, mechanical, electrical, these departments. Okay, it's okay. Now all these the new people, the robotics, automation experts, the 3D experts, or the digitalization data science experts, these are the set of parallel organizations running in the same metallurgical domain, which talks with the core agencies and brings up new solutions according to their set of conditions. This would be the future.
Is this too hypothetical? I mean,
it's not going to be hypothetical, sir. That is the only way which we can penetrate fast into the industry. See, over a period of next 15 or 20 years, we want to see all the plants to be digitalized. So, a metallurgical engineer cannot do individually. Similar the case with the computer science engineer, cannot do individually sitting somewhere on the computer and doing a programming. These two departments, inter-department should interact with each other and to make a platform as per the tools available from the domain. That those tools can be prepared by the other agencies. This is my viewpoint.
What is your take on this?
Is it me? You are asking me?
Today I am asking you, what is your take on this? Yeah, Mr. Dey.
Yeah, I mean, this actually depends on what platform we are working on, which direction we are working on. If you think of my overall model of digitalization or Industry 4.0, there are multiple type of solutions which are possible. So, for example, you can have a solution which is related to, let us say, asset health. And there you could take an approach that you will have a basic generic kind of a model which is collecting the data and throwing up some information. And you have some people from the plant who are also working on the same model. This could be, let us say, one approach. Another approach could be that you will collect your data and put it on the cloud, and then some people would be working on the cloud and then giving you from time to time some recommendations based on what data they are seeing. So it depends on really what kind of a solution that you have, what kind of granularity this solution needs, whether it can be put on cloud or cannot be put on cloud, how sensitive is this information, whether you would like to share this with outside world or not. That's also another challenge of digitalization. For example, if you are rolling, let's say, a very high sensitive material, which requires a lot of know-how, you would not like to pass on all these information to another external company who can then analyze this data, and for sure they can improve your plant's performance for sure. But in the process, he is also getting some of the know-how that you have developed over a certain period of time. This is also something which will be a challenge, which will hold us back. But I think on the whole, people are gradually, step by step, getting convinced that this new animal called digitalization is going to be here, and it is actually going to benefit us. How they want to implement it, different companies and different customers will have to find out their own ways. For example, some customers are developing their own analytics team where they are telling external vendors, you just collect the data, provide it on a platform, and then I would run my own analytics tools. Some customers are taking an approach that they want a consultant. Then the consultant tells them what is the area where they should work on, and then they catch hold of a sub-supplier who is then doing the coding. So different business models are happening, but I am firmly convinced that ultimately the customer has to see a value out of this. Nobody would do digitalization for digitalization's sake. Nobody would take up Industry 4.0 just because it is the latest fad. They have to see a certain value inside it, and we have to find out a way to show them the value. It may not necessarily be a return on investment calculation. There could be other ways of showing it, but he has to find out at the end, what is it for me inside this? Why do I want to do this?
Yeah.
So in some cases, it can be top-down, top-driven approach with certain organization. If the top fellow says that you don't have to think about it, in 5 years' time, you will see what is to be done. Please follow my instructions. Could be. In other organizations, it will work because every individual pockets will get convinced and one pocket will say, let's do a pilot project and see.
Yeah, maybe. See, there are two types of concepts. One concept is such that the first movers, there is a first movers advantage, and the other concepts are such that first few soldiers are sacrificed and then only the concept matures. which type our digitalization belongs, Mr. Yatin? We are the soldiers to be sacrificed?
You have both the things need to be done.
Yeah.
Unless you sacrifice the soldiers, you can't do that. What is more important, I believe, here is the association of your customer who actually believes in these concepts.
Yeah.
Even a couple of customers would do, because I have seen the top level management, technical management getting convinced. And as we implemented few of our modules, the bottom-up approach started, because now the engineers, production engineers, supervisors, maintenance engineers, managers, they started seeing the value in it, and they started coming out with newer solutions and requirements, which actually add up to improve their overall efficiency, uptime of the equipment, etc., etc. So it's just the beginning. Like, the first fruit is important, even within one customer's organization, and you can always take those concepts, those learnings, sharing of your customers, outcomes of that to other customers, because anyway, steel industry always follows the leader, right? So unless there are very few companies who have their own IPs, but most of the industries, they follow the leader. So there has to be a leader who will drive this. Fortunately for Vega, we got a couple of or few of good customers who believe in this concept. They wanted to drive it because they are scaling up. They understand that managing the scale up is going to be difficult from here. So they are moving from, let's say, MSME to corporate level over a period of time.
So surely we don't like to be sacrificed.
No, the sacrifice is already done. So we are beyond it.
So we'll eat fruits now. Yes, Mr. Rajesh, what is your experience? After you speak, I will ask everybody for their last comments on way ahead. What is the way ahead for digitalization? Yeah, you speak, Dr. Rajesh.
Yeah. So this is regarding the quantification. Like, you mean to say the investment perspective of the company, if you want to talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. That is, the investment model which that any organization is going to choose, basically on the digitalization aspects. So we need to develop. There are several functions in the organization, like, say, maybe the administrative functions, where the benefits are seen, our qualitatively or some quantitative benefits, are the third level of automation, like level of automation that industry is in. I'll talk in the similar, from the Indian perspective, I'll talk right now. The industry from the Indian perspective. Indian industry, Indian steel industry or Indian metallurgical industry, most of the things like 1950s or 1960s equipments are still running.
Okay.
So the sensors, what we can fit onto that particular equipment. So the level of automation which we can bring in onto that particular equipment is the first thing what we need to see, level of automation, LOA. And if we are able to fix one sort of thing, the investment model based on that. So what is that level of automation which we are bringing in, and the new equipments what we are purchasing should be accustomed to the digitalization aspect. So directly the machine is going to give all the data in a Wi-Fi environment to the central server. This would be the new things what we should bring in as far as automation is concerned. As far as your quantitative analysis is concerned, your maintenance aspects, your productivity enhancements, what are the models which we are talking about? How many persons are going to be reduced? What is the quality as parameters? What we are going to improve because of that? How much downtime is going to be reduced? All these things are to be considered in a quantitative way. And if you talk about the qualitative sense, the ease of operation, how flexible the operation is going to become, how the billets stored in the billet storage yard, the easy traceability of the equipment. Say, and by bringing in certain technologies, the level of workers' satisfaction, how much the worker satisfaction we are getting improved. So earlier, physically they are supposed to calculate how many numbers are there in that billet yard. Now by a typical scanner, they can count on the grades of billets available, different type of things. Then how the health and safety of the individual got improved.
Yeah, that is also one important aspect.
Yes, and what sort of reskilling an individual is supposed to undergo. So this comes under the qualitative analysis part. So an investment model, if you talk about for any industry is concerned, so based on these three things, level of automation, the certain quality parameters, and then quantity parameters. Okay. So every industry should identify where they stand in a particular matrix, and from moving from there to the next 5 years down the line, so that the digitalization drive should take in a either in the holistic manner we need to do, or based on the investment pattern availability for that particular year. So that clearly the budgets needs to be earmarked for the digitalization drive for this year, and the benefits are to be reaped back over a period of say 5 years. So everyone say when we are talking about when we are talking about carbon neutrality and we are setting the deadline for by 2050, industry should be zero carbon emission company. It is not 2070. So it is not possible. It is, but at least by 2030 we should curtail that one. When we are talking about the carbon dioxide emissions, needs to be curtailed. So it is not going to happen in a way. So when you are bringing in so many technologies, new technologies into your company for its sustenance and sustainable maintenance. So think in this particular direction, what are the new technologies available as far as digitalization is concerned, and how we can make our industry 100% digitalized by say X year. That X year depends on the individual company's perspective. This is what I feel.
Okay. So this is your last comment, Rajesh? Or you want to
yeah, it's all.
Last comment. Oh, thank you, Rajesh. Mr. Yatin, what is the way ahead? My concern is, what is the way ahead? There are problems, there are issues, and we have to sort out the issues and go further. Engage customer in some form or other. What is acceptable to him? So, what do you think is the real way forward?
The way forward, Nanish, is going to be, on one side, you should have use cases which start proving the advantages in terms of dollars. On the other side, the customers need to be educated on three key principles: error-free data, real-time data, and mobility. Because most of the decision makers in, say, unorganized sectors are dependent on inputs to take the decisions.
Okay.
So from MSME perspective, we have decided to concentrate on a sector by putting forward these three key points, which will try to give them a true data, let's say a manless kind of a reporting system, visualization system to enable them to take faster decisions. Now, let it be investor in terms of raw material purchase or sales, or let it be the production manager in terms of the grade effect in while he's melting, or the rolling person gets the data from his quality lab. So these are the three key focuses I believe for next 2 years have to be driven, whereby people start getting the data and they start using it. All the high-end solutions with respect to artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics would follow automatically once these results are there. So I believe that on one area, the ambassadors like us have to work on a research and development with certain customers, where we work about, let's say, 2 years down the line solutions, and work with other customers to formalize a process of data collections where these solutions can be automatically adopted.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Dey, what is
I think
your
in the
last
days to, I think in the days to come, what will happen is every new plant which any customer is putting in, he would put in a certain digital package inside this new plant. Because when you are making a big investment for a plant, the digital component of that in terms of percentage is very small. So it doesn't hurt him already to put in. So I believe this is something which he will put in. For the old plant, for the existing plants, this will clearly be based on what is the benefits that he sees of implementing it. So these will be all based on the so-called use case basis. That means he has to see that if I do digitalization over here, this is what I mean by digitalization. It can be very simply collecting the data and having a dashboard. Two, it can be a solution using some high sophisticated machine learning, whatever could be, but it has to be relevant for that particular plant, that particular unit, and then he has to see some value out of it. So both these approaches will go, and this will continue in future. And in future, I believe that people will become more and more sensitive about the data, and they will understand that creating some value from data is not just a theoretical thing. It is really practical. It is really something that you can do. So I believe that consciousness will come. It has already come, and in the days to come, this will gradually increase. So the journey may be a little bit slow in our part of the world, but the journey is definitely in one direction.
Okay, great to have your last comments. One last, again, question, one liner. If I consider that industry has achieved 5% digitalization, the metallurgical industry, I will presume that we have achieved 5% digitalization till now. So what percentage would you allot after, say, 5 years, after a period of 5 years? Where would we reach? Yeah, days up.
If you look at the industry, and if you take out all the logics,
very long view, 5 years, only 5 years. From 5, where will we go?
Understood. So when you say presently we have achieved 5%, that means you are most probably not considering all the advancement which has been done in terms of logistics and, let's say, payroll handling and administrative functions. Purely process control you are talking about.
Yes.
Purely process.
Predominant. Yes.
And probably at a higher level industrialization, digitalization, because at a lower level, the small condition monitoring solutions and so on, they are already popping up everywhere. And here, if you count them, then the percentage will be more than 5%. But if I talk about plant level, quality, production, downtime, asset health, these kind of solutions, if we are at 5% today, I expect that we will most likely reach somewhere close to 30 to 40% in a 5 years' time.
Great. Rajesh, what is your take?
Yeah, equally, sir, equally true. 5% investment, you mean to say the question is all about if today we are at 5% level, what would be the benefit, right?
Absolutely. Just one number. That short can be your answer.
Productivity, the science says that if you invest on the digitalization, your productivity is going to increase by 20 to 30%.
Okay.
So this 5% where you are putting in is the question mark. Which area you are putting
digitalization? In a journey of digitalization, we have crossed 5 miles, let us say. Now, where would you reach after 5 years? Very holistic, very broad and very general question.
If you go on a relative scale, it is only a 10% improvement in the productivity is possible.
In 5%. In
5%. In 5 years down the line.
Yatin, what is your take?
I would be more with Mr. Dey, but about 30 to 35%. My thinking is after 5 years, next 5 years, we'll jump it to 100% because the first kickoff is going to take a little bit slower path.
So in 5 years, we will reach that fast moving growth in that curve.
Yeah, it's like a hyperbola. So 5 years is going to be slower, but next 5 years is going to be pretty rapid.
We are already 5 years from 2016. So another 5 years we are saying it will be slow. It will be slow.
See, the curve or the slope has increased in coming 5 years. Okay. So 2016 till 2021, let's say our slope was 1. Now we are at 2. But 2027 to 2032 will be at slope of 10.
Okay, so I think with that, we can now end this conversation. And I would thank each and everybody, Mr. Dey, Mr. Purandare, Mr. Dr. Rajesh, for their excellent contribution. And definitely, we all would not like to be the sacrificing soldiers. And we would also not like industry to just look at it from a distance. So everybody wins. As Mr. Dey said, we will create a win-win situation and share the benefits. That is the approach, I think, which will take us forward, which will take the industry forward. And thanks again, everybody, for very interesting conversation. And that's it. We come to the end of this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajesh. Thank you for inviting. Thanks, everybody, all panelists. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.